Ongoing seismic threat in Chiayi. Navy soldier found with Chinese ID. Trump's tariff policy boosts Taiwan's steel stocks. Deadly landslide in southwest China. Ecuador votes for president. Dalai Lama's older brother dies aged 97. Argentina Canal mysteriously turns bright red. Eagles demolish Chiefs in Super Bowl.
Hello everyone, I'm Oceana. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Tuesday, February 11th, and here are your top stories. In local news, since the magnitude 6.4 quake in Chiayi's Dapu township on January 21st, aftershocks have continued. A magnitude 4.4 tremor struck at 1:39 a.m. yesterday, with an intensity of 4. Experts warn the area is prone to landslides and poses significant risks. A sailor from Taiwan's Navy Fleet 168 was found to hold a Chinese ID arranged by his mainland-born mother. The Navy stated he was unaware of this before enlistment and initially served as a conscript before switching to volunteer service. Trump proposed a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum under reciprocal tariffs, since Taiwan's steel export to the U.S. are already taxed under Section 232. This policy could benefit Taiwanese manufacturers, driving China's steel stock to surge. And in global news, emergency teams in China's Sichuan province raced against time to locate 28 people after a landslide triggered by heavy rains killed one person and buried homes. Nearly 1,000 personnel were deployed following the landslide in the village of Jinping in Junlian County on Saturday. Some officers navigated through the remains of collapsed buildings using drones and life detection radars to locate signs of life with the help of locals familiar with the area. 2 injured people were rescued and about 360 others were evacuated.
Authorities said preliminary assessments attributed the disaster to heavy rainfall and local geological conditions. These factors caused a landslide that transformed into a debris flow more than half a mile long, with a total volume of around 3.5 million cubic feet. The rescue operation was hampered by continuous rainfall and additional landslides. According to preliminary estimates, the collapsed area spanned about 16 football fields in size, and many houses were swept away by the debris flow. Chinese Vice Premier Liu Guozhong visited the site to oversee the operation and met with affected residents. Liu also noted that the surrounding slopes still posed collapse risks, calling for scientific assessment to ensure the safety of the operation and prevent another disaster.
Ecuador's presidential election on Sunday is shaping up to be a repeat of the 2023 race when voters chose a young conservative millionaire over the leftist protege of the country's most influential president this century. President Daniel Noboa and Luisa Gonzalez are the clear front-runners among the pool of 16 candidates. All have promised voters to reduce the widespread crime that pushed their lives into an unnerving new normal 4 years ago. The spike in violence across the South American country is tied to the trafficking of cocaine produced in neighboring Colombia and Peru.
So many voters have become victims of crime that their personal and collective losses will be a determining factor in deciding whether a third president in 4 years can turn Ecuador around or if Noboa deserves more time in office. Voting is mandatory in Ecuador, and more than 13.7 million people are eligible to vote. To win outright, a candidate needs 50% of the vote or at least 40% with a 10-point lead over the closest challenger. If necessary, a runoff election will take place on April 13th. Noboa defeated Gonzalez in the October 2023 runoff of a snap election triggered by then-President Guillermo Lasso's decision to dissolve the National Assembly and shorten his own mandate.
The elder brother of the Dalai Lama and former chairman of the Tibetan government in exile in India, Gyalo Tongdup, who led several rounds of talks with China and worked with foreign governments for the Tibetan cause, has died at the age of 97. He passed away at his home in Kalimpong on Saturday evening. No further details were immediately released about his death. Tibetan media outlets credited him with the networking with foreign governments and praised his role in facilitating U.S. support for the Tibetan struggle.
The Dalai Lama led a prayer session for Thundup at a monastery in Bailakuppi, a town in India's southern state of Karnataka, on Sunday, where the spiritual leader is currently staying for the winter months. He prayed for Thundup's swift rebirth, in accordance with Buddhist traditions, and said, "His efforts toward the Tibetan struggle were immense, and we are grateful for his contribution." Thundup, one of 6 siblings of the Tibetan spiritual leader and the only brother not groomed for a religious life, made India his home in 1952 and helped develop early contacts with the Indian and U.S. governments to seek support for Tibet. In 1957, he helped recruit Tibetan fighters who were later sent to U.S. training camps.
A small river in Greater Buenos Aires was dyed a deep and worrying shade of red on Thursday, likely due to a dye leak from a nearby factory. The violent hue of the Sarandi River, which runs through the municipality of Avellaneda, alarmed local residents, who have long complained about the industrial pollution in the area. A local newspaper reported that residents described a nauseating smell coming from the water and suspected a nearby tannery as the culprit. One resident said the river looked like a bloody stream.
The incident was the latest in a series of similar episodes. She told Agence France Presse, "You don't need to be an inspector to realize just how polluted the poor Sarandi Creek is." Her family had been woken by the stench on Thursday morning, adding that no one had offered an explanation for the ongoing pollution, despite numerous complaints. The red waters were just the most recent example of contamination in the Sarandi. She added, "We've seen it turn bluish, greenish, pink, and purplish, with a slick of grease on the surface that looks like oil." The Regional Environment Department said it was investigating the apparent leak after receiving a report that the waters of the Sarandi Canal had turned red.
The Philadelphia Eagles demolished the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22, denying them an unprecedented 3rd straight Super Bowl title. The Chiefs were playing in their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years, and much of the pre-game hype focused on the potential three-peat. However, the Eagles utterly dominated in New Orleans, particularly on defense, which proved why it has been NFL's best this season. Kansas City's star quarterback Patrick Mahomes was sacked 6 times and threw 2 interceptions as the Chiefs' bid for NFL immortality was ruthlessly quashed in the Superdome.
Donald Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to attend America's biggest game, while Taylor Swift was among the many celebrities at the Superdome, cheering on her boyfriend Travis Kelce, the Kansas City tight end. Yet he and the Chiefs were never in the game. They earned just 1 first down in the first half, and that was on their very first play. Philadelphia opened the scoring on their second possession, with Hurts scoring on the tush-push play, which they have mastered and no team has found an answer to. Kendrick Lamar showcased his greatest hits, including his Grammy-winning hit, Not Like Us, with a performance featuring SZA. He also brought a surprise superstar and a bit of his hometown when Serena Williams appeared on the halftime stage.
The answer for last Saturday was B, perpetrator. The police are working hard to catch the perpetrator of the crime. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into today's news. Ecuador votes for president. Number 1, conservative, 保守的. He has a conservative attitude towards social change. Number 2, a determining factor, 决定性因素. Price is often a determining factor when choosing a product. Number 3, dissolve, 溶解,解散. The sugar quickly dissolves in hot water. Now we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. You can write your answer in the comment section, and the correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday news. Be sure to tune into Funday news from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Oceana. I'll see you next time.